Hey, we got a special guest with us today. This is going to be a really fun episode. We're down Morgan, but that's okay. I think he's probably on a run right now or making something out of wood. So I am in a 2002 Toyota Highlander. How about you, Pastor Brandon?
I thought, since I'm currently sitting in my office, I figured I would share with you my very first car, which was a 1986 Plymouth Reliant K car.
I'm not sure what that is, but that sounds awesome.
No, it was a yellow car that you weren't supposed to own if you were under the age of 60. But my dad thought it was a good idea to give it to me for my very first car.
What a guy. How about you, Pastor Vince?
Hey, I'm Vince Antonucci here in Las Vegas. I am in a 2018 Honda Accord, pimping out here. And my first car, which was in 1986, was a 1974 Mustang, which sounds cool, but it was like run down. A quarter panel of it was duct tape. And so it was pretty ugly, but it wasn't a Mustang, so kind of cool.
You know,
and I do have a donut.
Awesome.
Vince, the benefit of our generation is we were willing to drive beater cars. This new like Tony's generation, they refuse. They think a beater car is like 8 years old.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I can't really comment about that. That's pretty true. I agree with you guys. Pastor Vince, tell us a little bit about you, man. So you're in Vegas. Obviously, it's sunny where you're at. It's pouring rain where I'm at. Tell us a little bit about you and your church.
Yeah, Vince Antonucci. I became a Christian at the age of 20 out of a completely non-Christian background. Started a church in Virginia Beach. Was there for about 12 years. And then in 2009, moved to Las Vegas and started this church called Verve in 2010. So we just celebrated our 10th anniversary in March, and love Las Vegas. I'd never lived here before, but my father was a professional poker player, professional gambler. And so as a child, Vegas was a big part of my life, even though I never lived there. And my dad kind of ruined his life here. So it's pretty cool to be able to help people here who are struggling in all kinds of ways. And our church reaches a lot of people who are very, very unchurched, far from God. But we kind of strategically try to do church in a way that makes sense to them and have had really cool stories.
That's so awesome. Now, do most people that work on the Strip, do they live outside the city a little bit? Is that how that works, or?
So the Strip is like right in the middle of the city. It's like a 4-mile stretch of Las Vegas Boulevard, and it's got 30, 40 big casinos. Most of them have 3,000 to 10,000 employees, 3,000 to 6,000 employees. And then they live all over the place. And so some of them would live 30, 40 minutes into the suburbs. Some of them live just minutes off of the Strip. And our church is actually right in the middle of the city. We are like one road over from the Strip and like about 2 miles south of the south end of the Strip.
You ever just like preached and just hit up a buffet and then came back for the second service?
Pretty much, pretty close. Not exactly. There's not enough time between services, but I would do that. And close enough, yeah.
Tell me a little bit how. Yeah, PB.
I was going to say, you guys are the church that's the closest to the Strip, right?
Yeah, we are. In fact, it was interesting when the shooting happened here almost 2 years ago. We got lots of phone calls from like the Billy Graham Association and all these different groups saying, hey, we're trying to figure out what church is closest to the Strip, and it seems like it's you. Could we park our trucks in your parking lot, or could we help you guys with whatever? And so, yeah, we are, I think there might be this little old Catholic church just off the Strip that I'm not sure if anyone actually goes to or not, but we're pretty much the closest church. Yep.
Wow. So tell me how you and Pastor Brandon met. How did that happen? Was it like at a craps table, or?
That's right. We were doing like restaging our own Ocean's 11, about to break into a casino. Actually, I should have him explain it because he can explain it better. But we have friends in common, but we had never met that way. But he was doing a paper for his, I think his PhD dissertation. He should explain it. And actually found our church when he was like looking at different churches. Brandon, you should probably explain it. You do better than I would.
Yeah, I had an assignment where I had to visit like 7 churches in a weekend. And Vegas is great if you want to do that because they have a lot of killer churches to visit. They all have hour-long services, and they're all within 10 minutes of each other. And just the Verve was one of the ones that was on that tour, and I was always kind of intrigued by it. And then a couple years later, I had an assignment where I was supposed to talk about – I was supposed to go to a church service 3 times, visit a church 3 times, and then write this paper on how they contextualize ministry. And I did it because I own that condo in Vegas. I did it at the Verve. They were close. And my favorite thing was the services that I went to, he was interviewing Pete Rose. So, yeah, he had all-time hit king, Pete Rose there. So when you have to go to a church service 3 times, have it be the one that they're interviewing, you know, one of the greatest baseball players ever.
Which, by the way, totally got jacked.
Shout out to be in the Hall of Fame. I agree.
Yeah. The Astros. Yeah, that's another episode for another day. Well,
he was great. The whole thing was good.
What was Pete Rose like? How was that hanging out with him?
It was interesting. So yeah, we did a series on second chances, on how God is the God of second chances, and we talked about that particular day. We talked about how, you know, Pete Rose is asking baseball for a second chance, asking for forgiveness, and can't receive it. But God's not like that. You know, that a lot of us think of God that way, that he doesn't want to give forgiveness. He doesn't give second chances, but he does. But he was fun. He loves to talk, loves to tell stories. Like from the minute he walked in the building, anybody who would listen to him, he was talking, he was telling baseball stories. My daughter walked up to introduce herself, and she was wearing a Dodgers shirt. We're Dodgers fans. And before she could even talk, he said, "Let me tell you a story about Tommy Lasorda," and started telling her a story. It was a little inappropriate on stage, which didn't shock us. And our people can handle it. It's Las Vegas. They expect that. He definitely is not a church guy. Did not know how to conduct himself in church, but it was really cool. And he seemed to really enjoy it and was open to talking a little bit more about God. And so I still have hopes that something might come of it for him personally.
Wow. So you're saying he wasn't even a believer, then you guys still brought him to show him like, hey, God is the God of second chances. Dude, that's amazing.
Yeah, we wanted him to see it. And then we thought it would be cool for, you know, we thought, man, there's people in Las Vegas who will not go to church. But if Pete Rose is talking, maybe they'd go to church. And so they'd get, you know, we get them through, you know, we'd hook them that way. And then we did a kind of just short gospel presentation in the service of like, hey, God is the God of second chances. God, you know, you might feel like kind of like Pete Rose, you've blown it too much to get in, you know, into God's Hall of Fame. But God, you know, we talked about Hebrews 11 is God's Hall of Fame, and it's filled with people who screwed up. You know, David's in there and committed adultery, and Moses is in there. He killed a guy. And so God is a God who will forgive. So yeah, he is not a believer. But it was cool. He definitely was open to it. He sat through the services, and yeah.
Man, that's amazing. You know,
so after I went to those services, I don't know how I got a hold of him. Maybe I emailed him or something, and we went out to breakfast. And so I kind of did an interview with him. We kind of hit it off and just have kind of become friends, I'd say, ever since. That was probably a year and a half ago, maybe. And we hit it off because he is the chaplain for the Vegas Knights, the greatest NHL hockey team. As you can tell by chants right over there.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, that was definitely a definite connection point for us. It was really cool that Brand being a Golden Knights fan, and I got called before the first season and asked to be the chaplain, and I was like, cool. And so I've been the chaplain the whole time. It's been really cool. I don't know when people will be watching this, but right now we're in the middle of the COVID-19 quarantine, and we're doing online chapel. And so it's pretty cool that they're not having their season, but I asked them, like, you guys want to keep meeting? And they're like, yeah. And so we're doing just this Zoom call chapels about once a week. And so
how many of the players come out to that?
So there's 22 players on a team, and for us, it was 6. And then we had one of our players get traded at the trade deadline, so 5.
Wow.
Which, from what I understand, I think there's only one team in the NHL that has that many. The NHL is not an especially Christian sports league. Like football, basketball, you get a lot more people who go to chapel, but I guess some of the teams don't have a chapel at all, and a lot of the teams have like 2 or 3 guys who show up, but we've always had like 5 or 6.
That's so cool, man.
So I don't know if you feel comfortable telling this story, but one of the amazing stories about Vince is that he planted that church. It was in Virginia Beach, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So, and his church blows up, like over 1,000 people. And I think when you were telling me the story, you guys were being featured at Catalyst or something like that, right?
Exponential conference, yep.
Okay, the Exponential conference. Tell him the story. So he plants a church, blows up to over 1,000 at one of the premier church conferences in America, Exponential. His church is being featured at it, and that's when God calls him to Vegas. So you got to tell that story because I think it tells a lot about you as a person and your character, because for all intents and purposes, as a church planner, you had arrived and you gave it all up to go plant in Vegas where you've never been. Tell that story. It's really cool.
Wow.
So yeah, it was, we were very happy in Las Vegas. I'm sorry, in Virginia. Oh, are you still there?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, sorry. I got there. I lost you for a second. So we're in Virginia Beach. We're happy. Church is going great. Our kids loved it. They're born there, planning on staying there forever. And it happened to be Thanksgiving Day. I was walking our dog, and I had this moment where I thought God told me I was supposed to start a church in Las Vegas. I was not interested in moving. I was not interested in starting another church, and I was not interested in Las Vegas. But I thought God told, and I don't have a lot of those. So I know some people are always, God told me this and God told me that. I'm not that guy. I admire those people. I envy them, but I don't have a lot of those. But I really thought God told me to. And my wife and I started praying about it. And what if it's not God? Is it really God? And then I got to go on a free pastor trip to Israel, and I'm on this bus of pastors driving from the Sea of Galilee area to Jerusalem. And one of the pastors turns around to me and says, hey, would you start a church in Las Vegas? And I was like, wait, what? And he's like, man, I heard this person's looking for a church planter for Las Vegas. You'd be perfect. And I was like, did somebody is like that? Am I being pranked or something? And then that was February. And then in March, I guess it was March, this film crew got sent to us to film us for the story that we were going to be like, I think it was 2 featured churches at the Exponential conference, and we were one of them. And so the guy does all the videoing, gets all the testimonies and everything. And then there was this one point where he said, hey, I just need some B-roll. At that point, I didn't know what B-roll was. Now I do. But I said, what's B-roll? And he said, we're not going to have the audio. We just want to be able to show you from different angles. And so I was talking to this other guy, one of the other pastors, on a couch. He said, so you guys talk to each other about whatever you want, and we'll just film you from different angles. And I said, well, what should we talk about? He said, doesn't matter. We're not going to be audio recording it. And I said, but what should we talk about? He said, talk about whatever you want. I'm like, I don't know. And so he said, all right, talk about this. Vince, will you move to Las Vegas and start a church? And if you did, what would it look like? Go. And I was like, turn off your camera. And he was like, what? And I'm like, what's going on? And he was like, what? And I said, why did you say that? And he said, because like Las Vegas Strip has everything but a church, and you'd be the perfect guy to do it. And I was like, did somebody who told you? Because nobody knew. My wife and I were still praying, and honestly, we were dragging our feet because we were confident it was God and just didn't want to do it. And it was like, okay, God, I get it. Like you're really doing some crazy stuff to get our attention. And so I walked out of the interview, told my wife, and she's like, can we go? And I'm like, yeah, let's go. And so we moved.
Wow.
We told our church that was March. We told our church in June, I think, and moved in January. Yeah.
And how did your church receive that? I mean, you're leaving a fast-growing church. You're being highlighted. I'm sure you're starting to get calls left and right. How did that go down?
It was crazy. It was one of the weirdest, coolest moments of my life. So it was in the, I did it in the sermon. I said, hey, I want to tell you guys something that's been going on. And I kind of shared the story, what I just shared with you guys and more. And so I said, I sometime in the next year, my wife and I are going to be moving to Las Vegas. We're going to start a church. So I had pictured what is going to be the response. For 70% of the people who went to that church were unchurched non-Christians when they first showed up. And so like for 70% of them, I'm the only pastor they've ever known. We baptized, I think 1,100 people. And so most of them became Christians there. And so I'm picturing people crying and screaming, no, you can't leave. And so I said, so sometime in the next year, my wife and I are going to move to Las Vegas and start a church. And I got a standing ovation. It was crazy. It actually went kind of viral at the time because we put the video up of my announcement of it. And it started like, this was before things went viral. This is before I don't know, maybe there was YouTube back then. I don't even remember. But it kind of went viral off of my blog. Which a little of me was like, wait, why are you clapping? Like, do you want me to leave? But It was really cool. Everybody was like, man, that's so awesome that you would do that. Like, I know that's not what you guys would choose, but you're obeying God. That's awesome. So it was really a cool moment. One of the coolest moments of my life.
Wow.
So what has been, would you say, I know there's a lot because you and I have talked about this, but share with everybody, what have you found the most challenging thing about ministering in Vegas?
It's hard to narrow it down to one. So there's some of the things you'd expect. People, there's the sin factor. There's a lot of people whose jobs, it's like if I become a Christian, it's not just that I have to change the way I think about things and maybe change my friend group some, but I can't do my job anymore. And so there's that. There's the city is loud. So in Virginia Beach, if we did something for the community, people would hear about it. It'd end up in the newspaper or something. People would come to our church and say, I heard these cool things you're doing. Las Vegas is so loud. No one cares. No one knows. It's one at a time, man. There's not ways to get people's attention. We don't have the resources, at least, to get people's attention in a big way. But I would say the surprise hardest factor. Another one is people here are really cynical, weirdly cynical, and so which I did not expect, and so it's really hard to convince them that we really love you and there's no trick here. But I'd say the hardest factor maybe is people here do not know or talk to their neighbors. It is weird. In Virginia Beach, everywhere else I've ever lived, you get to know your neighbors. You might even become friends with them. You might go in their house. They might come in your house for different things. In Las Vegas, people do not talk to their neighbors. And so when you tell everybody at church, hey, invite your neighbors, I don't even know those people's names. And so that's one of the tough factors. So we reach again, just like Virginia Beach, 70% of the people who come are not Christians and not they say it. We do a survey every year on our anniversary. And we asked several questions, all getting to hey, are you a Christian? Are you coming from another church or not? And 70% say, I am not a Christian. I do not believe. I do not go to church, which I have found if a church asks you if you're a Christian, you might say yes, even if you're not, just because you feel like you should. So probably the number is even higher than our results. So we really struggle with leadership and money. Just, when you're reaching 70% non-Christians, it's really hard. People don't come in giving. They don't come in ready to lead anything. So that's definitely some of the struggles we experience.
Obviously Seattle is different than Vegas, but culturally it's very similar. I mean, our church would be very much the same way. The majority of people that are here found Jesus here. But the example they used of the neighbors, it's the same phenomenon in Seattle. Yep. I moved here from California and people do barbecues in their front yard. Here,
Right.
I mean, you can live in a neighborhood for 10 years and never know your neighbors.
Huh.
Part of it is because everybody moves constantly.
Yeah.
Because nobody really grew up here other than Tony.
Yeah, but I mean, even that, your neighbors are cold to you, and it's not out of disrespect. They don't care to strike up a conversation.
Yeah, no, they literally, nobody knows their neighbor hardly. It's fascinating.
I didn't know that. Yep, same thing.
Okay.
Yep.
Can I ask him another question, Tony, or did you have a bunch?
Well, yeah, we're almost out of time, so go ahead and ask one.
Okay, you guys had that TV show. I don't even think I've ever asked you about this. You had that TV show at Verve. I saw a couple episodes of it. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Like that Christian TV station was going to do that TV show around you. Tell us about that.
Yeah.
I watched a couple of those.
So we oddly, I don't even know how to explain this, but we've had 9 offers to make reality TV shows about our church or about my family, like legit reality shows from like TLC Network and different production companies. We've 9 all 9. We've said no to all 9. I'm not sure if that was the right move or not, but we were worried about people thinking that we moved here for a TV show, not for a church. And so just worried about how people would respond to it, even though, I don't know, it would have been a way to get ourselves known. So that was and they pay you money. So it would have been money and it would have been publicity, but we thought maybe it's the wrong publicity. But we had a Christian production company ask if they could do like a 6-episode video curriculum Bible study about our church, and they made it look like a reality TV show. And so it has been shown on the Hillsong channel or Hillsong Network from Hillsong Church in Australia. So they show it all over the world. They've shown it over and over and over. Wow. And then Trinity, TBN, Trinity Broadcast Network, they've shown it over. It's weird because it's only 6 episodes, but they've had it on for like a year at a time. And so they just show 6 and then show them again and again. The only thing we thought, oh man, this might be really cool. It might, and maybe it will bring in some funding or maybe it'll whatever. It has not done that. The one thing it's done that's been really cool is apparently there's a bunch of jails that show that like the channel that they put on their TVs is the Christian channel. And so we have gotten hundreds of letters from prisoners telling us that our show impacted their lives. I just got one. Cool. We've gotten the coolest letters, man. It'll make you cry. I just got one from a lady saying her nephew, she's like, your TV show, and then he got a hold of one of your books. It has completely changed his life. And one of my books is called Guerrilla Lovers, and he writes GL on everything, hoping that other prisoners will say, what's GL? So he can talk to them about Jesus. Like he's got an evangelism strategy in jail. So that's been the big impact the TV show has made. And lots of weeks we have people from somewhere who have seen the show and are in Las Vegas for other reasons, and then come and check out our church, our services. So from there, people from Jamaica and who knows where. We've had, all over the place. So that's that story.
You know that Tony is an aspiring reality TV show star also?
It's very true.
I did not. For real?
Yeah, well, I mean, I wouldn't say for real. When we created all this online content, I thought, we got to add some humor to this. We've been doing a lot of deep stuff, so I started a late night talk show. It's kind of got that. You ever watched Zach Galifianakis, Between Two Ferns?
Yes.
Yeah. It very much feels like that. It leaves you awkward. I get roasted. I come across as this moron with no intellectual skills at all.
I want to watch it. Man. You need to tell me how to watch it. I'm in. I want to watch it. I'll promote it. That sounds awesome.
Praise God, you're my 3rd fan. Yeah, so
you got it.
It somehow keeps going down in viewership, but it's like it was for a while. It was like the 2nd most watched thing after Sunday services. So I was like, okay, sweet, let's have fun. Okay, Pastor Vince, can we do some quick fire rapid questions and then we'll end this? Okay. Favorite hotel casino in Vegas? Go.
The one we're at the most is South Point because it's right by our house. I think the nicest one probably is Palazzo. It's just like elegant if you like elegant. Cosmopolitan's cool for hipness. So there's 3.
Okay. Favorite restaurant in Vegas?
Man, I'm going to go with, there's a restaurant called Crepe Expectations. It's crepes, but like crazy good, like different kind of stuff. It's been on TV a bunch of times, like Diners, Drives, and Dives and stuff.
Oh,
Crepe Expectations, really good.
come on, man. Last but not least, are you now going to be a Raiders fan?
It's crazy. I've always been a Raiders fan, like since I was 5 years old. And I raised my son to be a Raiders fan. And so it is the weirdest thing in the world to move to a city and then have your team move to your city. Crazy, but
man,
super excited. Yep.
God has ordained some crazy stuff in your life, and that's just one of them, dude.
No, you understand. I don't know this guy. I'm randomly doing a doctoral project. My favorite hockey team, my favorite NFL team, and my favorite city. So it's like Vince and I were destined to be homies.
You guys are BFFs.
Yep.
It's adorable.
Yep.
Well, Vince, I can't thank you enough for being on the show, man. And thanks for actually getting a donut. None of the pastors have actually gotten donuts on these shows. So thank you.
Dude, if you tell me pastors and cars getting donuts, I'm getting a donut.
Oh, well, we appreciate it, man.
Awesome. Thank you guys for having me.
See you soon, brother.
All right,
Okay.
thanks.
See ya.